Hello and welcome to SBCN TV, and I have my fantastic friend and sponsor of SBCN TV, Steve Bentley here.
Yes, it's excited to get back to this SBCN TV. It's something we've been take a break from, but now we're back at it, so it's exciting. We're busy these days.
I know, but yeah, I really missed you in the summer. Yes. What did you get up to?
Hiking, canoeing, painting, photography, and family, I guess.
So you have to have a rest and work, Steve.
Yeah, well, I'm going away again in 2 days. But
where are you going?
Going painting. I'm going to paint in Algonquin on Friday.
Awesome.
It's going to be fun.
Well, we when we announced we were bringing SBCN TV back live, Lisa Braun, I hope she's listening and watching us. She mentioned she had a question, because basically we will be talking about planning an event and how not to make some mistakes.
Do we make mistakes?
We don't make mistakes, but other people make mistakes.
They may not see them, but everybody's going to make a few mistakes when it comes to organizing an event, particularly if they're doing it for the first time, right? I know you guys have done a few, and some were, just you thought of it, and then all of a sudden within 2 months you had it up and running and they were successful.
So you've done events as well,
yes,
so do you want to give us a few tips on how your events have been successful?
I think you need to be very careful about what the event is, what the topic is, and the audience you're trying to attract. Because if you don't do that and think you can just throw up an event, well, you may not get the people. And then you've got to know the people you want to market it to in order to be able to get people interested in coming to it. So
that's a really good point.
That's sort of the first thing I'd throw out there.
So, for those of you who are listening live tonight, here are some tips on planning a great event. Steve, do you remember my 3 Ps? Because I always forget them.
I've forgotten them since last year, I'm sorry.
Okay. Plan, prioritise, prepare.
Yes.
Or prepare, plan, prioritise. It doesn't matter which order you do the 3 Ps.
Well, I used it on a TV show the other day. I didn't even remember it, right?
So that's no good if you're not going to remember it. So remember the 3 Ps. Plan, prepare, prioritise. So why do we plan? Why do we plan for an event, right?
There's so many working parts to an event that if you don't have laid out exactly what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, you can't sort of make things up at the last minute, and things are going to get in the way and things are going to come up that you didn't think about. You could jeopardize your event if it's not planned properly, and plan ahead and then work methodically through your plan.
You could. So, we've got some people. Hi, people. It's nice to see you. Are you keeping an eye on the names? Because I'm not going to wear my glasses on here because I'm a bit vain. So, why we plan an event is this, because if you're not going to plan the event properly, you're probably going to get to the day of the event and you're going to have forgotten something. And I'm not the most organised of people, Steve, believe me. But
you wouldn't know that, though, with the things you run. I mean, they seem to go like clockwork, right?
So let's plan back, Steve. Say we're going to host an event in July, okay? And we are now in year 2019, October. Why would we plan so far ahead? First of all, if your event needs a location,
right,
you want to buy a location, not buy a location, you want to rent a location that you can afford. Right. So you've got time to shop around, okay? So once you get the location, let's imagine it's going to be a conference like we've hosted in the past. You want to get people like Steve to come along and speak, so you want to give the speakers enough time. What else do you need at a conference, Steve? What else would we need time for?
Well, I think you got to look at the scope of what you're trying to address in your conference. So certainly having the venue and having the chance to choose a venue. Venues fill up so quickly, right? So if you're leaving it to the last couple of months, you're going to have a tough time. I think the other thing too is being able to get speakers and having them have notice so they can actually come and speak at your event. If you come to them 2 months before, you might as well forget it, right?
That is true.
And then you've got to be very clear in terms of defining what the topics are going to be that you're wanting to present within the theme of the conference that you're doing.
So basically, the reason why Steve and I think it's a good idea to plan ahead, if you're going to have a conference, you want to get the speakers, and you've got to get some printing done. Like in the past, I don't know how close to the camera I've got to put this. So basically, we've always had what do you call these, Steve's agendas.
It's an agenda, yeah.
Or what else would you call it? A program.
It's right on the front.
We've been away for the summer. So the reason we, the Small Business Community Network, like to have a program for our conference, it gives everybody an idea of the agenda and what's going on. Now, Lisa Braun from Social Art mentioned she's having a Christmas, a Christmas
function. I just got it today, so I haven't actually had a chance to digest
it.
So
basically,
she's thinking ahead, right?
Yeah, so she's thinking ahead. She's already advertised it. So the benefit of thinking ahead is, what are the benefits, Steve?
thinking ahead is important, again, from the planning perspective, right? Because you're going to run out of time, and I think you're going to be working sooner rather than later. And if you're leaving things to the last minute, things might not happen. It may not be successful.
Would you like to welcome our new watcher?
Yeah. Hi, Sue.
Hi,
Haven't seen you in a while.
Thanks for coming. So basically the reason Social Art, Lisa Braun, is planning ahead is because she has a location where she's going to host her event, and she wants to make sure she gets vendors there. Mm-hmm. She wants to make sure she's got refreshment. She wants to make sure everybody marks the calendar. One of the biggest mistakes people make is not having enough time to plan the event.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you notice, I'm wearing a lanyard. I don't know whether you can see it. Steve, mm-hmm. It said SBCN Community Network. Basically, we always give our members at our monthly events and any conferences and showcase we do one of these because it shows that they're part of the event. And I haven't got a sticky badge on me today, but this is what we've done in the past. We've actually made kind of lanyards, very cheap, plasticky, and then there's a bit of cardboard and the printer prints the name on, and then it's a bit of string. Doesn't cost a lot. It's a good investment.
I like these over the "Hello, my name is" because those things never stick and they're really not professional. This shows that your conference is on a professional edge, right?
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's part of your brand. Whatever you do, if you're hosting an event, it's going to impact your brand, isn't it? And I'll be honest with you, Dave and I hosted a showcase event a couple of years ago. We put all the planning preparation into it. We had a great location downtown, thinking people would come, and the vendors were there, but the people didn't come, and it was the worst moment of our life. And I now really.
But what came of that, though, right?
What came? Well,
you take some lessons away from that, and look at what you're doing.
We're not sure why the location didn't work. It was downtown Kitchener, but it taught us that the people still managed to network between themselves, and people didn't remember that it was a failure. They thought it was a success, but you can plan and prepare and it's not a success, but I think you should plan 101%. Take ownership for that. We have no idea why people didn't come to the downtown core. In the past, we've had like a basement in a hotel, do you remember? The Waterloo Hotel, and people have come. The other thing, as I say, banners, just a bit of an idea. So if people are wandering around your event, not so much in Social Art, and you haven't got any banners like that up, then they won't know that you are basically it's the right location. This is a big say thank you to the sponsors. So that is one where you're saying thank you to the sponsors, and if you don't say thank you to the sponsors, you won't get any again. Now, what other kind of events would there be, Steve, that people would want to plan for?
I think any event you want to plan for. I think if you figure out what type of event you want to hold. I mean, you talk about having speakers, you talk about having vendors. I mean, totally two different types of events. So I think you need to look at, if you're planning an event, what is it you're trying to accomplish from it, right?
Make lots of money.
Well, right. So if it's promotional, like a business networking conference where you have speakers come in, people are going there because they want to learn about networking, that kind of thing. Whereas you've got vendors, well, you've got different presents. Yeah. And I think the thing is, it's nice to see all these new businesses and businesses that are existing to go into these conferences where you can actually, in one foul swoop, be able to meet a lot of new people.
And I will say that many years ago, 18 years ago, when we started doing conferences, the SBCN and stuff like that, there weren't very many. Now there's lots of them, and it seems like people are like, it's overdone now, and people just don't want to attend the conferences. Where Social Art's concerned, though, Lisa Braun, even though she...
Well, by the way, I want to say hi, Lisa. She's on...
Is she there? Hi, Lisa. Where Lisa Braun's concerned, if she's having it at her location, I believe she is, she knows it's her location, she knows who she is, but it still might be good for her to wear maybe a badge like I've got. I don't really can see it, so everybody knows who Lisa is.
I'll tell you, even from a professional perspective, if you're going to conferences, you're going to shows, it's good to have your own name.
I do see that. Right? I think so, because it looks more professional.
It speaks to your name, and it's not something you have to keep writing out every time.
And then again, if it's a Christmas social like Lisa's having, obviously you're going to be decorating, Lisa, but obviously, will that offend people of different demographics if you have, say, Christmas decorations up? Is that okay too? You don't know what to do.
You don't know these days, to be honest with you. But
you can offend somebody
I
just by saying hello. I think
traditionally Christmas is fairly well accepted, so I don't think you should have to really worry about that.
So, Lisa, I don't think you were here before, Angel, so I'll just go through it again. So, obviously you've planned, you've prioritised, you're prepared, because we're now in October, and you're having an event December.
Yeah.
I believe it's December. Okay, so you're planning ahead. Now, one thing is if you plan an event on Facebook, I love Facebook, and people go interested. I hate it when people say interested because it's not anybody committing to it. So I use Facebook to showcase my events, but I always send them then to guest lists, which the SBCN uses for our events, because there's a commitment. So members come for free, but they still have to register. We want them to commit. Guests have to pay $20. So if I'm getting lots of interested on Facebook, I know those people are not committed to coming to my events. So where Lisa's concerned, you know, how does she know how many people is going to come to her event?
Well, there's a couple apps other than Facebook you can use for scheduling and for promoting a conference or some kind of networking thing. But you got to communicate it. You have to share it, and you have to share it as widely as possible to the target audience that you're looking for, right? And I think you can't really, as you said, make a determination based on what people are saying they're interested in, what they're going to. And I noticed another thing Facebook has changed, because some people look, okay, who's going that I know? You can't do that anymore. They've changed that.
I'm going to give a secret away now. I now hide the guest list if I'm going to showcase an SBCN monthly event, because if they want to know who's coming, come to the event and find out. So I'm not going to make it easy for you. I mean like that. The thing is, though, people should commit to attend an event if they've told you, me or Lisa they're going to come to the event, because we would commit to their event. And one of the things that spoils events today, A, there's too many and none of them are all good, but B, there's no commitment, so the person's gone to a lot of work doing the event.
Well, you think about, organizing the event space, this amount of people you're going to have, if you're going to have any food, if you're going to have any drinks, all of those different logistical things. People need to have sort of a reliable number, and that's sort of something that's hard to do unless people are formalizing their commitment.
Can we ask Lisa a question, and maybe she can type it in and you can read?
Oh, and I just want to make a correction.
Yeah.
Her event's on November 27th.
November, sorry, Lisa. Lisa, if you can hear me and see me and you haven't got bored yet, basically, is your event a free event? Because that way we could kind of have a few more tips to you. She should be able to type an answer if she's there.
Well, if she does or doesn't, we'll see.
Okay,
it takes a while to get over the internet highway.
Yes, it's very like that. So basically, some of the biggest mistakes I've seen at events is if you're having an all-day event and you're not offering any refreshments at all, people then have to go outside of the event to get the food, and sometimes they don't come back. The other thing is, if you're having an event and you are selling wine or beer at that event, make sure you have a liquor license.
Proper license.
A proper license, because otherwise you can get into trouble. If you can get a sponsor for your event, that's amazing, isn't it? Because it helps you with a lot of the expenses.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who would like to sponsor events. It depends on what type of sponsorship you're looking for, but that certainly defrays the cost of holding an event. It's promotional for them too, so sponsors are a good idea.
I think we have Craig Stevens watching us. Hi, Craig, nice to see you. So we're talking about planning, preparing, prioritising.
Yes.
For events.
Yes.
So I've been to some events that are amazing. I love the events where they give you a free wine and there's a lovely buffet and the speakers are amazing.
But I will say this, Lisa has said that it is free.
Oh,
just
it is
use
free.
her event as an
So
example.
Lisa, because your event is free...
And I'll share one more thing.
Yeah.
She also has vendors, food, and draws. So she's really thinking ahead, but she's done this before.
Okay, so Lisa, you've done this before, but be sure to make sure that you give your vendors lots and lots of exposure before the event so they get people to turn up. And the other thing is as well, if your vendors are giving freebies, door prizes, whatever it is, make sure they do it at their table and not at the end of the event, because it holds everybody back and everybody gets bored. Do you understand what I'm
Well, I remember doing an event for SBCN a couple of years ago where I provided a bag for swag. So even having takeaway swag bags is another way of doing it.
Yeah, that is another way of doing it. And the other thing is, like I say, try and get a commitment off me and off Steve and off Dave and everybody else to make sure we come in. Unless there's something, bad weather or an accident or something like that, we will support you. A really, really great way to get your word out for the event is reaching outside of your network. So as you know, through the SBCN, you can post on our website, make it a story, Twitter feed, we'll share it for you, LinkedIn group, Facebook group, reach outside of Lisa's network to,
But I think that's the biggest point right there is promote.
Promote.
There's so much coming through our stream. So it's important that people take a lot of time and a lot of time ahead of time to be able to promote an event. Because if you got people making a commitment, whatever they're, whether they're speaker, whether they're vendor, whether they're preparing food, that advertising is really critical to them. That's one of the strongest reasons they do it.
Yeah, and this is another reason why we've always done, if it's a bigger conference, as you can see, we always put logos in. Oh, I'm not very good at this and stuff like that. One thing I will say, many years ago, when I was very poor and I just started Motivational Steps, my speaking business, I wanted to go to a lot of these conferences and have a showcase table and pay and all that. Had no money. So I would approach the people doing the events and say, I'll say a few words at the beginning for free if I can have a free table. So that's for the vendors who might be wanting that kind of thing, and it's not always possible. Lisa, if you've got any more questions, let us know and we'll come back to you. If anybody else has any questions.
She did have a question. She asked if we're both coming.
Yes, I just said we're making a commitment to come, yeah? And we will spread the word for you. We've said it now, so you've got to come. We're going to move on to what are the biggest mistakes people make when business networking, not social networking, face-to-face networking. Steve, over to you.
I spoke about this a couple of days ago about a brand message. And so you really got to look at your time. And when you're looking at your time, there's so many different networking functions you can go to, right? And I think people need to be very careful of what they select to go to. And if you commit to going to something, go to it. But don't be afraid to try different things. You're going to try different events, and you're going to have to know that you can go in there and be able to communicate with people. Some people are shy. I remember, I told this story before. First networking event I ever went to. I got to the location and I stayed in my car.
That was like Janet Benedict. You were twins.
Well, it was just, I was just nervous.
How many years ago was that?
You got to find a way to get over that.
How many years ago?
Oh, 10, 15 years. At least 15. Yeah. So I can't remember. I'm getting older, right? So I think it's important to really be careful about your time going to events and being very selective about the events, and try them. Try different events. Maybe one will work for you, maybe it won't. But, you won't know unless you try.
So if you are going to take Steve's advice, his excellent advice, try different events. I want you to have a really good memory, or I want you to take a notebook with you. First of all, know why you are attending certain events and know the takeaways you want. So I don't know whether everybody knows this, but all networking events are not the same, and they're not offering the same experience. So some of the networking events offer seminars. So that's more about the education. Some are just pure referral based. Everybody wants referrals, nothing wrong with that. Some are about, let's just chit and chat and get to know each other, nothing wrong with that. But if you don't want to make the mistake of going to one that's all about referral based and you're not ready for referrals, what you're supposed to do is contact one of the organisers. The information should be there, and if it's not, the organiser's in the wrong. And ask as many questions as possible. How much does it cost? A lot of people say, I went to this networking event, it was rubbish, I did not have to pay, whatever. The onus is on you to ask the questions, but also the person who's hosting the event to give all the information out.
And I think something you've touched on before is being selective about the seminars that you go to, because some of them are sort of just an introduction to something where they want you to buy something. So you'll learn. I mean, we've all been there, right? But you just got to be and I suppose the point is you really need to learn as much as you can about the networking.
Are we talking about, like...
They might market it as a networking.
Yeah, but I mean, a networking, not group, or a networking event could be a sales one where people... Like B&I is very much like that. It's a sales one where basically you are supposed to get up and try and sell in your 30-second infomercial.
Right.
Another big mistake people make about attending networking events, they go home and they forget to follow up. Please add your comments if you've got any comments. Have you ever forgotten to follow up and you may have lost out on a client?
I spoke about this at an SBCN conference once, and I always talk to people about two things. Number one, how many business cards are you collecting and giving away? Have a reason to receive, have a reason to give, but don't just use them like a deck of playing cards, right? That said, if you want some and you had a good conversation with somebody, have a process by which you do follow up, because if you leave it for several weeks, it might as well just start again. So those initial conversations can be very constructive if you show and do the follow-up.
Also, though, know why you're following up. Like, if ever... I don't often get my business cards out now, but if you want one, I'll give you one. So if you follow up with me and then you try and sell me a widget immediately, your product or service, without finding out what solution I need, that is a mistake, and that is attached to you attending a networking event that I was at. Or if I follow up with you and I say to do you want to come out for coffee? We'll get to know each other better. That is the way I do the networking. But business cards should be kept up to date as well. Some of us don't keep them up to date,
absolutely.
and that is another. But don't rely on a business card for people to know who you are and remember your brand. Really,
that's where the online presence, having a developed brand, is so important, not just a business card. Something else, though, if you're not sure and you haven't been into networking and you're thinking of getting into it, don't be afraid, if you know people who are in business or friends who are going to an event, to maybe go as a guest.
Yeah.
It's a perfect opportunity to get that experience of going to it and then decide.
Now, should we clarify guest? Some networking events, a guest comes completely free. Some networking events, and ours is one of those, is classed as a non-member, and $20 or $10 if you're a student. And a lot of people may go, why can't we have the free experience? Well, I'll come into your coffee shop and have the free experience. I'll come into your clothes shop and have the free experience. We can't keep giving stuff away. Don't make the mistake networking that everything should be free, because there's no value to it.
Yeah, but I also think those nominal expenses aren't overly expensive, right? There's just a reason.
If
You
you're
have a
in
cost
business,
in terms of the event that you're running. And I think the other thing, by putting a nominal fee on it, it also makes sure that people are committed to coming.
Yeah.
Right? If they've had to pay for it, then they will definitely
The
show.
other thing is, I've seen so many businesses fail in the first year because they think attending every networking event in the lounge is the thing to do. And I go, hi, they're not in business because they didn't follow up, they're not doing any work, they're not selling anything. So basically,
Time is important, and that's where you come to the fact that, well, you got people who are so busy in business, they don't network, which means they don't market, which means that they may have a trouble with prospective clients coming forward. And then you got those who network too much and they never get any business done, right? So you look at your time management and you've got to have an allocation for it, but it can't be all of it and it can't be none of it. It's got to be somewhere.
I'd be interested if Sue, Lisa, or anybody else you listen, I can't say the names at the moment, have made any mistakes when networking, or felt that they, didn't understand what the networking organisation was about. Because again, never be scared to ask questions.
No.
Never be scared to go to one of the people there. Another mistake people make is thinking they have to join every organisation. A, you must be really rich if you can do that, and B, I would say devote yourself to a referral-based one, to one that kind of is a bit more on the social, and one that offers maybe more education. Oh, and if you're a part of an association like the Realtors Association, obviously be part of that. That's a good thing to be. Not just Realtors, any association.
And I think there's so many different ways that you don't have to spend a lot of money to be out networking, but then you'll be able to look at the ones that do cost money, and if you feel the value is there, please join. I mean, there's a lot of association, a lot of relationships that develop through those different associations, as an example.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've built 2 businesses by networking and building relationships, and I've slowed down a little bit now because of work and stuff like that, but I'm getting back into it. So we did say we'd devote some time at the end for our guests, viewers, people who are actually live and listening to us. If you do have any questions, we'll give you time to type the questions. It's okay if you haven't got any. We'll be back again in 2 weeks anyhow, won't we?
Yes, we will.
If you've got any topics you'd like to cover, please tell us, because we've got lots and lots of information.
Well, I think somebody, Lisa, brought up a good point. She says your meeting, in respect of the SBCN, but just as a general example, your meetings provide good value, so many takeaways. In other words, you want to make sure that there's value to that networking function you're going to, and there are things that you're taking away from it. If you're going just to chat with a bunch of people that you chat with last week, where's the productivity coming out of that, and what real value is in it, other than I'll say waste of your time.
It's nice to say hello to Steve when we're networking in the same place, but we both see other people we want to get to know.
So here's another question from somebody named Dave.
Oh.
What's a key mistake people make when they attend a networking event?
There's quite a few, actually.
I can name one right now.
Go on, Queen.
Take my industry, okay? I go into a networking event, and all of a sudden this young person comes over and makes very small, pleasant talk with me, and then goes for the kill, goes for the sale. Do you have insurance? Okay? That is such a turnoff.
But you did say young, so maybe you could be mentoring that young person.
Sure, and I mean, they're just not knowing, right? And I'm just saying, the key thing for me is making sure you can get engaged in small conversation, Get into a conversation, have a conversation, exit the conversation. Don't dominate somebody's time. How many times you see somebody, they talking your ear off in the corner and you're trying to find a way to get out to engage
there's a
with
way
other
to
people,
get out
right?
of that.
So that's one big network.
I got another one. Basically, we call it the 30-second introduction. Some call it the elevator speech. Some call it whatever. Basically, it's maybe being either chamber. I don't know the other big ones. do like you to say, I'm Linda Rockwood Jenner, I'm the best motivational speaker in the world, and I think you should book me for your conference, blah, 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 blah. Basically, it's a really good opportunity to make Steve or somebody else in the room say, wow, all Linda said was, hi, I'm the social sweetheart. If you want to know more about me, come and talk to me. Versus trying to sell in that 30-second information. If you jump into an elevator with me and say, Linda, will you buy my...
I don't take elevators for that reason.
Will you buy my insurance? I'd call the police. I'd go, there's a person in the elevator.
But you know what he's saying? I don't like the term elevator speech, but it's a common use term.
Yes.
And the point is, don't make it sound like it's broadcast, something you've rehearsed and just sort of spit out. Make it natural.
Memorable.
Show your personality in it. Don't use a lot of big words. Keep it short.
And keep to the 30 seconds, otherwise in our case we ding the bell. Another big mistake is not being prepared to know that when you walk into a room, your brand is on show. So if you walk into a room and you're looking miserable, or if you walk into a room and you're not looking smart enough, and obviously if you're a techie guy going jeans and a t-shirt, if like at one time I used to really admire, Steve wearing suits and stuff like that, but he's always up north now, so I never see him. But I noticed Steve for his brand because he walked his talk with his suit. So when you walk into a room, be your brand because people will notice.
And I think it's you dress to the occasion, right? So I don't like wearing suits to everything I do, but there's certain situations where you need to wear them because you have to show the professionalism side of it. We had another question brought up, or a statement saying that one of the biggest mistakes that they made in networking is not taking notes. So much information comes across that by the time they leave and 20 minutes later, they've forgotten half of what they've heard.
Good point.
There's a lot of good value to taking short notes, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're using an iPad, whether you're just handwriting.
Unless you're me, because my writing is so awful. I don't even sign my own signature.
Even read it.
And it's true, Steve, it's true. Never be scared, though, to ask the person who's organised the event if they could send you the PowerPoint or information on it. I know we will do that.
Well, I spoke last week, and I've actually had somebody reach out and ask for the PowerPoint, so I've had it sent off.
So we're thrilled to bits. It's our first time back, and we've missed each other. Oh, no, Steve, we see each other quite often on
Every
the TV.
week on TV.
But no, we've missed seeing you guys. We'd like you to come back again. What's the date for the next one, Steve?
It's in my calendar somewhere.
It's not next week because we'll be in Germany, and it's not the week. It's when we come back from Germany.
Well, we probably share something after the show. Should we just throw the date into it? And
So basically, we're back in 2 weeks, and we'd love you to, send us some ideas what you'd like us to talk about. We hope that you enjoy us. We try and keep it fun, don't we, and not boring.
And I'm going to tell you, I like the fact that we've made a switch from our YouTube to Facebook Live, and I'm watching it on my phone as we speak. It's amazing, right? So there's a lot of interaction, and our producer just shared that the next episode is Tuesday, October 15th.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
p.m.
Producer.
We have a producer, yes.
Do we have any hearts? I've never had a heart.
I need better glasses to be able to see that stuff.
I'm making him ready.
But I think Facebook Live is a great form, and I think more people are connected with Facebook Live, even though they own YouTube.
So, Steve, I want to thank you again for taking your time. Northern River Financial is the digital sponsor for SBCN TV, and basically we can't thank you enough for that because it really helps us, reach a wider audience. So what do you want to leave our audience with, because you've got such
Very
wisdom?
simple. It's hard to believe we're approaching the end of September next week, right? And I think September is a great time for businesses to have time, reflect, re-engage, and get going after taking the summer off. So if you haven't taken that and created that focus, it's really important because time fleets, and all of a sudden you're going to know it's November, December.
And it's my birthday.
Right? It's a good time to have a fresh start to summer.
October's my birthday month, so you have to buy me a present. What I want to say is, the first meeting for the SBCN we've already had, which was amazing. Was that last week, Steve?
Yeah.
We've got the October one coming up, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness. I always like to share that. And our speaker is Angela, who is from Video Power Up, I think, and she's going to be talking all about, videos and how to do that kind of thing. So that'll be an excellent meeting.
Videos are a very powerful tool. I shared a little bit about that, but I think this is a good focus for people to really understand how you can use it and how you can go about doing it yourself.
So one of the mistakes you mustn't make is to not come to the October SBCN event, because it's going to be a full house, all learning about videos and from a professional and how to do it. So I suppose, Steve, it's almost time for us to say goodbye. away.
Well, according to that big clock, it tells us, doesn't it?
He gives all our secrets away. We want to thank you for supporting us and being loyal to us and asking us some excellent questions. And Lisa, we will be at your event. It's in my calendar, I promise. But I'm not going to say interested on Facebook because I find that insulting. So you have any last words before the clock ticks down?
Yeah, I'll just say it's been a great opportunity. It's good to be back at it. I'm looking forward to doing this every couple of weeks. And you know what? It's a good time to say goodbye. And we'll see you in 2.